Hey, what's up, fellas and fellettes? Thank you for tuning in to the Standing O podcast. This is episode 6. It's just me and Steve on this one, talking about nothing, telling some stories. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Be that super pushy guy who's always recommending shit you don't care about. Alienate your friends, throw your life away, do whatever you gotta do, all in the name of comedy or whatever we're calling what me and Steve are doing here at Standing O. Please subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram, follow on Spotify. Thank you for listening and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the Standing O podcast,
a Steve and Adam comedy project.
We know a little about most things and a lot about nothing.
But yeah, so I've been smoking them more than I should, like 2 a month, but just it's not a good habit, but every once in a while you just need it because like I'm just having a MFer of a day, and I'm like, and I drank last night, and I've been eating like shit because I've been hungover, and I've already jaded my D. Sarah has no interest in me. I need a vice. And so I'll get a black and mild and go out on the porch and just sit there like a fucking lunatic who just lost his kids in a custody battle. And I'm like, sometimes,
This guy that we played with in golf league last night, he's new to the league. He smoked probably 6 black and milds throughout the round.
That's awesome.
Dude, we played 9 holes. We were there for 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes.
That's
an exact. That was a Steve number.
Yeah, that was a Steve number.
It was probably 3 or 4 though, and it was still pretty impressive.
I just like them because I don't like cigarettes. Like, just the taste is weird and the smell is bad. But cigars, like, you got to clear your evening. They take forever. You're gonna taste that for a week.
Well, and you got to plan out, like, do I have time to shower before I have to do anything important?
Yeah, because it's such an intense experience.
And your hands smell like it for
exactly,
the next 24 hours.
Yeah, you're eating a sandwich later and you still smell it, like you taste it. And
don't want to go to church the next morning.
Absolutely.
Smelling like a cigar.
There was another time I was smoking and on my porch, and I had a serious wasp situation for the longest time.
How many are we talking?
Like at one time I'd only see 2 wasps, I'd only be tangling with 1 or 2 at the most, but I found all their nests. Their nests are under the railing. The railing has a spindle, and then it has a board on each side, not a 2x4, but that type of board, for the layman. Not a carpenter. Most people aren't, but I know a decent amount about wood. But either way, they would be under there. And so I got, like, one day I put on some safety glasses. I popped the shirt off because I didn't want to get, wasp poison all over me. And I'm on my back, spraying under there to try and knocking out the nest with a screwdriver. And it was quite the evening. But another day I was fighting with some wasps out there, and I had
How frequent do you have a tango with the wasps?
More than most people, but this was at the last place, and so it was pretty frequently until I knocked out all the nests because they had built a ton of nests. I guess my apartment was empty for a bit, and so it was a problem. And then I knew some of them were living at the guys above me, and I wanted to knock on the door, be like, "Hey, you got a wasp problem still a little bit? They're showing up on my porch. Let me just go out there and knock these guys out." And I got a cigar and safety glasses, wasp poison, and a screwdriver. I think that'd be hilarious. Just show up on someone's porch. Hey, you got a wasp problem. I'm going to take care of it for you, all right?
Completely oversell it, too.
But yeah, absolutely. Talk about how it's a huge infestation. Aaron then had to borrow the wasp poison. I was like, want me to come over? I can knock him out for you. I'm getting pretty good at it.
Over the last several months, I've been sitting here watching them spreading.
I'm really starting to learn their migration habits as well, where they sleep, where they eat, who they're fucking, who they're fucking
mating
with.
Season is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're all doomed.
But no, yeah, I was fighting one out there, and I was just like holding super still, just like trying to wait for him to land. And I got him, and I yelled some sort of. I just watched End of Watch, which is like a L.A. cops cartel type movie, and I yelled something. I think I yelled "Checkmate, Punto," which is what the gang members always yell in that right before they kill someone. And one of the maintenance guys walked by with his weed whacker, and I'm shirtless with a black and mild and fighting these wasps. yelling, Spanish cuss words at him, and I'm like, that's about right.
So yeah, you with the shirt over there.
Yeah. And I was telling you I struggle with my t-shirts, buying ones that don't fit, and then just hating them. And Group has always given me shit about wearing the same 11 shirts the entire time he's known me since kindergarten. And in case you haven't noticed, I haven't grown a lot, so I don't have to worry about outgrowing them.
No, I haven't actually noticed that.
Your boy still hits the gym, so I keep the LBs off, so I don't outgrow them for that reason. And I lift a whole lot and don't get any muscle, so I don't outgrow them for that reason either. So it's a bit of a sad place to be in, but I'm addressing it, as one does with any problem in their life.
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of weddings just in general.
Yeah, so you've been to a lot. I've been to a couple of David's friends' weddings, and that's it. And it was when I was living in Washington, and I went to one, and I was so hungover, I had to drive 35 minutes home, which I was telling Groupus and Sam the story. They're like, 35 minutes is not a long drive.
No, it's
That's
really
a
not, Adam.
borderline long drive, though, if you're hungover. I've done hungover the 4 hours from KC, but for some reason that you can just zone out and you just knock it out somehow, But 35 minutes, it's not even worth stopping over. You don't even put on a podcast. You don't, not even picking your music. I stopped twice on this. Both times bought ice cream. At I left the hotel
You
a
bought
little
ice cream?
yeah, a little after 7 a.m. I see a Walgreens and I'm like, this is probably the only one out here. It was in Baldwin. There's other stuff out there. I just thought, I'm like, this is the only place out here. I'm like, I got some body armors, and right next to the body armors, I bought one of those Snickers ice cream bars.
Oh, that probably hit the spot.
It was great. So good that then I'm driving and I'm like, I'm going to need gas before work tomorrow. I might as well just stop again. And they also have Snickers ice cream bars. So I bought another one. I knocked out 2 of those in one car ride at 7 in the morning. I was really, really having a good time.
Isn't it funny how when you're super hungover, and especially when you're in an unfamiliar place, your standards of what
is okay
possible,
to do?
Yes, of what can be seen of you.
Now it's just if I have this in the house, I'm going to eat it. And now Sarah, she snacks more than I do, but she doesn't eat that much. So she'll buy a box of some Cheez-Its or something. And Cheez-Its is a bad example because I'm not the biggest fan. But and that would last.
You don't
her
like Cheez-Its?
Not really. I'll eat them if there's I want some sort of chips on the side of something. There's nothing else. But I would never buy Cheez-Its for myself.
That's kind of weird. I think I would definitely buy. I love Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
You kind of struck a nerve.
I know. So I'm that really didn't sit right with you. I was I'm going to wait for him to talk. I'm not going to move
I was kind
on.
of appalled. And come to think about it, I don't even buy them that often. But Angie buys them a pretty good amount.
And
we start talking about snacks, I can go.
Yeah, I had the nephews over recently. The 2 oldest ones, they're both 18.
That is crazy.
And, I know, they're old all of a sudden. And I was so that's college age stuff. They want snacks, and I don't have Cheez-Its in the house. I'm I am not there are adults and there are adults who have Cheez-Its, and
I am one of those.
You're an adult. They're both adults.
Pop-Tarts.
That's fine, but there are, and I was I don't have those snacks in the house, and I just felt so bad. Then they came over. That was a while ago. The next time they came over, I had snacks for them.
House was
loaded. Don't you worry about that. I was I'm not getting caught with my pants down twice around my nephews. First time ended in a lawsuit. Not again. This is episode 6, I believe, of the Stand and No podcast.
Episode 6. You haven't opened your beer yet.
The
nice sound.
Coffee went in, beers came out.
We're getting somewhere. I think soon. I mean, Sirius tried to offer us, a syndicated podcast.
Yeah,
and we were
Spotify tried to lock us up for 100 episodes, and we're
no way, dude.
We know what we got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This shit's too hot for the web. You couldn't handle it.
Our 78 followers, or however many we're at.
We're in the 80s on Instagram, on Spotify. I think we're in the 20s, which is not bad. Not bad. Which, by the way,
pretty good.
Who the fuck isn't listening to this?
By the way, we haven't introduced ourselves. My name's Steve. I think we should do this for now on. We should have 10 seconds to say whatever we want right after we introduce ourselves.
Well,
hi, my name's Steve, and this week.
This is the podcast. This is episode 6.
The
That's
allergies
Steve.
are gonna kill me. The pollen, I'm telling you, it's gonna kill me.
This is Adam. Obviously, if
10 seconds.
nobody starts with episode 6, that'd be a really weird
Adam,
thing to
Adam, I just want to let you know you have 5 seconds left.
do. I'm allergic to.
3
I'm
seconds
addicted
left.
to aluminum.
2 seconds.
That's all.
Okay.
No more.
I would say that went very well. We should do
Yeah.
that every episode.
So apparently, aluminum is like the active ingredient in the antiperspirant aspect of deodorants, and also aluminum can be bad for you for some other reason. We should have Grupus on to talk about it. Grupus believes in that sort of hippie bullshit.
He does.
And,
Have you switched to a natural deodorant?
It's not a natural deodorant. It's just a non-antiperspirant deodorant.
I use the.
See, I tried using a more natural one, and it was like aluminum free, and it burned my armpits. And I thought it was like whatever substitute they're using, I'm allergic to that. But now I'm literally just using.
Grandpa, my armpits.
I think I'm just using I think it's Old Spice, and it's just their deodorant that isn't an antiperspirant, so it's aluminum free, and that shit burns too. But it's weird. It doesn't.
That shit burn.
It doesn't burn the first day. The second day, it starts burning if I use it like 5 days in a row. So it's weird. It's like, is my body, is that the withdrawals are getting worse? Because that doesn't make sense. They should start off bad and get better. So maybe I'm addicted to aluminum. Maybe they put something else in it. But it's weird, right? I haven't looked it up. I've just been kind of dealing with it. So what I do is I'm weaning myself off. I have 2 deodorants. One antiperspirant with aluminum. One non-antiperspirant with no aluminum. And I use a non-antiperspirant like 4 days, and then I throw on the antiperspirant, one day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it won't burn. It's the weirdest thing. My body needs a little bit of aluminum to survive, which is interesting. I don't know what to do with that information. Eventually, I should probably give this a Goog. Just hop on the old Google machine and see what they have to say.
No, I say just keep letting.
I think it's a decent system. Sarah's kind of curious why I have 2 deodorants, but I haven't told her the whole thing yet. I figure,
She might break up with you. Over
yeah,
that.
we've work at work. I'm dealing with this aluminum crisis on my own. This is my cross to bear. I don't need to bring this into her home.
Between the deodorant and the wasps.
Exactly. I fight. Those are my problems. I fight them on my own front.
I will do this battle alone.
Yeah. I mean, why bring her into that? She doesn't need that. Also, I haven't drank. I think it's pronounced Modelo, but I want to pronounce it Modelo.
I say Modelo.
Well, that's not what it is, though. So
I don't actually say
you can
that.
say that if you're trying to be a goofball, but I think Modelo.
It's better than Sandwich Boy.
Yeah. Okay. But I kind of just want to say Modelo, not only because it's more fun, but it seems like if you're saying Modelo, you're trying to seem like
you're hip.
Like you're pronouncing it properly. Like I was somewhere and my sister, I said flan. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Like the dessert?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sarah's like, it's flan. And I'm like, no, it isn't. She's like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, I ended up
Everyone calls it flan.
I'm like, exactly. She's like, yeah, but that'd be like saying like a quesadilla. And I'm like, yeah, we're white. And I'm like, we shouldn't try to sound cultured. We're fucking white suburban nerds from Missouri. And I'm like, don't be saying flan and thinking you're above me because you know how to say flan. It's the exact same thing. I'm like, just say flan. There's a SNL sketch where they say flan, and that's just what I'm
enough for
going
me.
with. That's
That'd
the
be
one
like
time
me
I've heard
going-
flan on TV.
That'd be like me going to an Italian restaurant.
And
being
on
like,
yeah.
be like, I'll have the bruschetta.
The
with
pasta fagioli.
with the mozzarella.
It's like
Hey,
gotta
you over there with the
gotta do the
shirt.
hands. If you start, a guy called Jimmy John's one time when I was working there and ordered extra
Sandwich Boy.
yeah, a guy ordered extra gabagool, and I'm like, we don't have that. And he's like, yeah, you do. It says it on the menu. So, do you know what gabagool is?
Yeah, it's it's a meat that I didn't know about until
It's
I read
capicola.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and until I read it on the menu, and I put it together when I was watching The Sopranos for the first
Yeah.
time, and that was the only time I was like,
Yep.
"Holy shit!"
That's the only time.
That's what that is.
Yeah, that I've understood it, and then.
And you didn't know what it was when he said it.
No, when he said that, and I was like, and I just like blacked out this. So this is how I learned it here, and then forgot it, and then learned it at The Sopranos. And he's like, oh, with extra gabagool, and I'm like, we don't have that. And he's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, okay, what kind of argument is this? You say, yeah, you do, and I go, No, the meats we got
You have
is
$1 million?
ham. I'm like, we got ham, bacon,
you
fucking
do.
whatever. And he's like, oh, no, it's capicola. And I'm like, well, then just say that. Don't say a word that isn't on the menu. When I say no, say yes. That's not how an argument works. Okay, you
For
don't.
some people, it is. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was like, you just clogged up here. I'm like, do you even want a sandwich, or are you just flexing that you know what gabagool is? You know?
if anyone's gonna get you one, it's gonna be Sandwich Boy sitting across from you.
Yeah,
right here.
I'll come at you.
He'll get you a
okay,
sandwich.
and now I know like what gabagool is, so I kind of want to order.
This actually brings up a pretty good story. I was working at a golf course, and there was a fraternity reunion party, like 30 years later, 40 years later even. These guys were getting pretty old. And I was bartending, it was outside, right outside of the course, and this guy walked up to me, and he was just like, you guys have cognac? And we had so much Hennessy. I didn't know that's what that was.
I do, but only because of when I worked at Petramart. Hennessy was
I was
very
only
popular
21
there.
at the time,
Yeah.
and I didn't know. That was 5 years ago, and I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And then he came up to me like 5 minutes later. He's like, "You know, maybe people told me they just had a drink of cognac," and I was like, "I am sorry. What is it?"
He was drinking something else all day, and he's like, "Man, wish I had cognac."
I think it's time for Steve's story of the week.
Oh yeah.
I don't have pants. Like the only pants that I have, I just pooped. He was like, "Wait, you actually pooped your pants?" I was like, "Yeah." Lock up your children. We've got a lawnmower on the loose. Granny, Japanese women love the Harley Davidson. So this was sophomore year in college, and we were playing University of Iowa in hockey. So we were up playing in Iowa at a mall, and the first night I believe we lost 17-1.
Sometimes you get speed bagged, you know. that's a tough pill.
That was one of the worst things ever.
Yeah,
and then
that's
the
a
next
tough
night
one.
we lost 9-7. So
That's-
a little more admirable.
Yeah.
Still a lot of goals.
17-1 is
Entirely
tough.
too many.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the next night we lost 9-7. So I would count that as a win after the first game. So
Yeah.
on the way home, this is probably the most like rowdy the bus ever got. We got hammered the whole way home.
That's really fun.
Wild
I never
stuff.
thought about that.
Oh, that's where
Getting drunk on the bus. That's a ton
that's
of
where
fun.
the most wild stuff happened. I could go into unbelievable stories.
Dude, I would have definitely played a college sport if I knew we were getting hammered on the
don't
bus.
think it's typical. This is a club sport,
Yeah, it's club,
Which
and
is
it's
no
hockey,
longer.
which is different.
which is no longer. So I believe we can talk about
Yeah.
whatever we want to
Ryan
talk
Reeves said if you can't play hockey hungover, you shouldn't be in the NHL. So, if anything, you guys were training, you know?
about. We were on our way.
Yeah.
We were on our way. And if you ask all of us, we were all this close. Just kidding. We all knew we were going not much past that.
Yeah.
But so we're on our way home, get absolutely shit-faced. We come back to our small apartment, and not even like the whole hockey team came over, maybe just a couple of them, but like we kind of threw like a party. And like,
To celebrate your 9-7 loss.
well, we were just,
You were doing it
we
anyways,
were
but the
gone and-
funny idea is
Yeah.
of that.
Well, my apartment was pretty small. Like it was just like one small living room and 3 bedrooms. And I lived with 2 other guys. Colin was one of them, and the other guy,
Pizza?
Howie.
Oh.
Howie. He was actually 21 at the time. All of us were 19, probably. Howie, yeah, I think that was probably about right. And at like 3 a.m., the cops came, but Howie wasn't there. Howie was elsewhere. And so the cops knock on the door, and I would say, I was talking to Colin about this today. He said there was probably at least 45 people in this small apartment. And that was a realistic guess because that's not a Steve number. Adam
Okay.
calls them Steve numbers
Yeah.
because I exaggerate numbers big time to help
Yep.
my story and my case.
And sometimes it's really fucking inconvenient.
Yes, it is.
When like there would be times to be like, oh, I got plenty for all of us. I got like 10 of them. And then you show up with 1 for Groupus or like whatever it was, you know? And I'm like, if you just would have said you have 0, we all would have like came with our own of whatever it was, you know?
So while we're drinking in this apartment, after the police knock on the door, like 10 or 11 people jumped out my window. It was the first floor. So they jump out my window. They're running. I don't even know where they went. But once the doors open, Colin is just passed out on the ground, like of the like 3 or 4 feet
From the front door?
from the door.
Yeah.
It's like when you open it, it is just right there, just enough room to open the door.
As good a place as any to sleep.
We
Yeah.
might have even had to move him to open
roll
the
him, yeah.
to open the door all the way. And so he's like, can the owners of the house or can the people who live here
the
come
tenants,
outside?
whatever.
Yeah. And so I walk out with him. And I'm talking to him, and he's just like, so who else lives here? And I was like, well, there's actually 2 more. He's like, all right, can you go get them? Are they here? I was like, one of them's here. He's like, all right, can you go get him? I was like, he was actually the one on the ground laying
You
down.
already met him. He was the guy on the floor.
He wasn't very friendly. He didn't say anything back. But he's like, oh, okay. And what about the other one? And I was like, oh, he is actually not here. He's like, okay, you guys all 21? And I was like, actually, the only one who is the one who's not here.
God damn it.
I was completely honest. That's just me.
That's tough. Yeah.
And they were actually like super cool because I was being so honest and calm about it. I can talk my way out of some certain things.
I was at
It's got to be a song.
speaking of being out in public, I was at Total Wine the other day. You ever been there?
Oh,
Total Wine's
I
shit.
love Total
You know what
Wine.
Benny's Beverage Depot is?
Yeah. Is that in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
One time.
Is it like Total Wine?
Kinda.
This is huge. So there's been this has
Is
all
this
been
like a big argument?
No, not an argument, but a thing I've been studying. And no one that has been to Total Wine has been to Benny's Beverage Depot and vice versa. That we know. Obviously, some people have, but like Kelly and Round Count and Mitch and Joe, they're all about Benny's. And Sam, who lives here, has never been to Total Wine, but he's been to Benny's. And I was like, we got to go to Total Wine. I got to take you. Because I'll talk about Total Wine, and they'll be like, and then they'll talk about Benny's, and we're like, we're pretty sure they're the same thing. You know, we're pretty sure they're, but you're saying no. So this changes everything, because everything we've learned up until this, we're pretty sure they're the same thing. You know,
Well,
the
I mean, they're
same on the
basically-
inside.
They're basically the same thing.
But what's different?
I don't even like. I just like ran in and grabbed something like quickly.
Oh,
Like I didn't have the time for
Yeah,
anything.
see,
It was actually kind of an accident. Like why we went there, we were passing it. I don't know if we were hockey tournament or something. We were,
and it was just like the closest, liquor store.
yeah, and they
essentially.
were always the only reason I remember. I didn't even like think about it. Like it wasn't like a thing.
Yeah.
Now I know it is a thing because after this, like a bunch of the advertisements on the boards at the Blackhawks games
Are for Benny's,
Yeah. I
And-
didn't know anything about it until after I went there, and I just stopped in and out. So
So I haven't gotten the
I'm
chance.
sorry, I like really disappointed
You
because
really-
you seemed
yeah.
so excited.
I really
Damn it.
was, because I was like, we're about to get it,
I
a Stand
I
and No
felt like-
exclusive on the podcast.
I even like thought about
Like wanting to think of something of substance to remember from
anything,
that.
and
Yeah.
I didn't want to
And you
sound
hadn't.
stupid because I don't know. I
Okay.
really.
Only went once, went in there quick, got in and out. I understand that. But yeah, so I've been wanting to. I got to bring Sam. That's what we found out, is because no one that lives out here that we have access to has been to Benny's. So, or Kelly is coming in town April 17th or April 24th. Maybe we bring him to Total Wine, him and Sam. And
If we're
because
gonna
Kelly's
go-
Kelly's a huge fan of
If
Benny's.
we're gonna go, let's look up the day before, or a couple days before, when they're doing free samples.
Oh yeah.
And
See, every time I've been there, they've been doing free samples.
If
So
you
as long
ever-
as you just don't go like late at night or in the morning, I'm sure.
if you ever want to make like a day out of it, oh, here's a great story.
A day out of it at a free sample.
Just wait a second. You go on a Saturday afternoon during Christmas time, like the month of December. Holy crap! So there's like. My dad swears we had 13 or 14 different free samples, and like 6 of them were whiskeys, and they were like little
boy.
half shots.
Yeah.
So my mom goes into Target one day that we were shopping for a long time for Christmas stuff. And my dad was like, I really do not want to go into Target. You want to go park the car way back there and go into Total Wine for a little bit? We were in there for like an hour.
Where is this at? Brentwood?
Brentwood, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that place is the shit.
Oh,
that
yeah.
parking lot has everything. That is white girl central.
And it was icy. It
Oh.
was pretty damn icy out. And so we parked all the way in the back, the furthest spot you can away from Target where my mom is. And we walk into Total Wine and start getting these samples. I was pretty drunk by the time
That's
I left.
fun.
And
That's fun.
my mom is calling us. She's like, "Where the hell are you guys? I've been looking for you. I just did all the shopping that we had to do in Target." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we're finishing up at Total Wine," and we probably took a couple more samples while we were waiting, because like I think there was a shift change too,
Yeah.
and like new vendors.
Because
were
I've
coming
gotten
in.
like, I don't think I've ever gotten hard alcohol. I've gotten champagne or sparkling wine
there
every time.
were so many different
Because
ones
it
there.
seems
that
like
day.
they're always selling. Yeah, because the one time I went was around New Year's, and I just went recently, and they didn't have a St. Patrick's Day. Like, they had a St. Patrick's Day decor and, like, stations, but they didn't have a free sample. that
COVID
quarter.
probably also has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's plausible. And I was
One
going to
bottle of
buy
whiskey.
some sake, because Sarah, when we go to, like, a fancy sushi restaurant, she'll get hot sake. And I'm like, that'd be fun to have. You know, just to have in the house. We'd have it for like 3 years because we'd never drink it. David had a party one time with a bunch of his friends there, and I had this bottle of sake that looked like a champagne bottle, and I had a orange Mad Dog, and I was telling everyone it's screwdrivers and was getting people to drink it. And you drink the Mad Dog, and you're like, it's a intense orange flavor, and then you're like, you get the aftertaste, and you're like, that's not just orange juice. But you get the sake and you're expecting champagne. It's horrible. Like people were upset. And it was
I'm sure they were.
the funniest thing. David's like, you got to stop doing that to people. I'm like, I've got everyone. No one hasn't believed it. I'm like, it's the funniest thing. So it's really, really something I plan to do a lot of.
Good stuff.
Well, you think we end it there? You got anything else?
No.
Well, that is it. That's
Just one more thing.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Come on, man. Well, that's the end of the Stand and No podcast. Thank you for listening.